Hello dear viewers, I want to learn about NextJS, the React framework for the web. This video I will be going through the Learn Next.js tutorial. So this video is for people who either have not used Next.js at all or people who are currently using an older version of Next.js and would like to see what the latest version has to offer. So without further ado, let's dive in into this tutorial. Now on the Next.js website, they just released this new section here called Learn Next.js because of the community feedback, because they offer so many different new features in the latest version, and a lot of people are kind of confused about how it works. So if you used Next.js before, it went from a page-based router into an app router. But let's do that later, but let's first go in here and see what we can do. Now, in the beginning of this website, this tutorial, we will build a dashboard. So I am going to do a bit of an expedited version of this tutorial. So if you really want to do it at your own pace, feel free to go there and do it. But I want to see what this tutorial is about. So we're going to build this dashboard here. The good thing about this tutorial is that we are not going to create all of these components manually by hand. A lot of it will be already available. So the tutorial will mostly about demonstrating the concepts and the features of Next.js. Here's what you'll need to get Node 18 or later, and then all of these operating systems are provided. You also need a GitHub account and a Vercel account. We'll talk about that later. But for now, we don't need all of those. Let's start. So let's start by creating this new folder here. We'll just copy this command. So I already made a folder called Next Learn, and I just need to paste this in. This will ask us, do you want to proceed? Yes. So it will install all the necessary files for us to get the project started. And the create next app is a command line interface command tool to set you up with a new Next.js application. So what it does here is using the create next app. If you ever use create React app, this is very similar. It's called create next app. They use the latest version of this package, and then you want to call your project Next.js dashboard. Then we want to use npm, and then here's an example flag. This example flag will grab some pre-existing files from this repo and place it within our projects. And then that's how we get all the existing projects, all existing files in here. So you get the lib folder, you get the UI folder. So some components are already done for you because we're using the example. Now, let's explore the project. If you go in there, you'll notice, the application structure. So the app folder contains all the routes, components, and logic for your application. So this is mostly where we will be working from. It's kind of similar to the source folder, but in the app folder, you have all of this stuff. Lib contains reusable utilities. UI has all the UI components for your application. I kind of like this structure because it's very clear of what these folders do. Public folder is by default everything that the public can see. So you can put your static assets like the favicon or images or stuff like that in there. Scripts, this is not the application script. Scripts are more of like automation scripts that you can use, like a script to populate data in your database. Config file, this is a standard Next config file, which if you are familiar with Next.js, this should make you feel right at home. Right now, there's not much in there. It's pretty empty, which is good. And we are going to use placeholder files to simulate some data for us because we're not connecting to a database right now or hitting any external API. So we're just gonna put some stuff in there. So in the app lib placeholder data, you'll see like a bunch of dummy data in here. This is simple JavaScript array of objects to simulate stuff that you get back from the database, which is cool. And then this project uses TypeScript. You don't have to really know TypeScript to really do it, but it uses very, very basic TypeScript, which is great. It tells you what the field is doing. It's kind of like if you don't know any TypeScript, kind of like the database schema. It tells you what type of data that this field expects. So example, customer ID is a string, the amount is a number. So let's get started. So we can go in there npm I to install all the packages. Things like, let's see, next time, oh sorry, cd NextJS dashboard, and then npm I. So this will install all the stuff, which we already did. And then you do npm run dev. This will run the dev server, and then we'll have this app up at localhost 3000, which is a very standard port. Cool. Now we know that this is working. So everything is set up correctly. We're done with chapter 1. Let's go to chapter 2. Let's do some styling. So if you are familiar with styling, there's a way you can apply global styles, so like resets and stuff like that into your application. So all we need to do is open up the app folder, go to the layout, the TSX, and then we just need to import this file. So what is this file? Let's take a look. This file resides inside app UI global CSS. Let's see. All right, so this is very standard reset type of thing for like form fields. And then you got a couple of Tailwind stuff up here. So if you don't know what Tailwind is, Tailwind is like an inline CSS class that you can apply throughout your application to instantly see your changes in your styling on there. So it's very different from traditional CSS, but let's see, let's do it. Press save, and then if I go here, and look, our website suddenly looks pretty, right? So if I comment this out, we don't have any styling right here, but if I put the style back, oh, we got style. Cool. Now we got some basic style set up on our dashboard. It started to look like something, but you know, this is what that Tailwind does. So we got a base set of Tailwind utility class, component utility class, and utilities. So this is what Tailwind is. So if you go to app page.js, you'll see that all of these classes here, right? These are all Tailwind based classes. They are very, you know, you can probably look at them and understand what they do. Like P6 means padding 6, BG blue 500, background blue with 500 kind of shade. You know, flex base, like MD here means median viewports, right? You got flex, you want this to be display flex, and then flex grow, you know, flex column, flex gap 4. So if you look at it, you could probably understand what they do. But if you don't know what they do, you can always go to the Tailwind website to get a reference of what they do. But for now, understand that all of this styling is already being applied by Tailwind. So what's interesting is if you inspect it, all of these class names, they stay the same. So if you ever use like CSS in JS, they sort of hash the class name, so it's hard to tell. But with Tailwind, you can the class names stay the same. So if you click on it, you'll see exactly all the different, you know, flex, justify content, like all of this is applied directly to the div. So it's pretty cool. And I really like the way that Tailwind allows you to see exactly what you're doing. Cool. And okay, so they want us to play with Tailwind. Copy the code below and paste it above the P element. Okay, let's do this. Above the P element, which is here. Is that what they want us to do? So if we go here, oh good, we get a, hold on, is that what this thing is? Let me take this out. Yeah, so it sort of creates this triangle on top of our div. Cool. The other way you can style this app in Next.js, they also support CSS modules, which is kind of what I was talking about earlier. So if you want to do CSS module, you can totally do it. So inside of app, let's go to app, UI, and then home. Wait, app, UI, home.module.css. Do we have a home.modules.css? Let's see. No, we don't. Okay, we'll create a new one. So home.module.css. All right. So it's demonstrating that you can actually do both. You can use Tailwind or you can use CSS modules. So here I'm just creating, like, this is standard CSS. I'm putting it inside a file called home.module.css. And then I'm going to import that into app.page. So here. So instead of doing app.page.css, and then in the div, we're gonna do class.shape. Okay, interesting. What are we doing? Where do we put this? Replace the Tailwind class names from div and pass. Okay, so we're gonna remove this stuff, and then we're gonna remove Tailwind and put this in here. Cool. It looks like we got the triangle too, right? So it also works. So you could totally do this instead of Tailwind if you're not a fan of it. Okay, cool. Oh, sorry. I guess they want us to not really replace it here, but in the layout. Nope. The thing I added here. So that was what I added earlier to get a triangle. So if I remove this and then replace it with this, same shape, we should get the same thing. Yeah, there's a triangle. So it's just telling you that CSS module and Tailwind are both supported. Now, very often you need to do class toggling with the style. So sometimes you have to do a ternary to say, hey, if the status is pending, do the gray color. Otherwise, if the status is paid, then make it green color. So we have this kind of library called CLSX. It's a very, very light wrapper on top of things. So if you go into this file, I'll explain. You go to App, UI, Invoices, and then Status. So here you see that it's using the CLSX library. So if you take a look at how it's used, you can probably understand what it's used for just by looking at it. So here it's saying, you have a class, you have a span here, and you want to apply class to it. And this is the first parameter is the base class. No matter what, this class is going to be there. But here, this is a conditional. So you can put as many conditionals as you want in here. So basically it's saying, it's looking at the status. This component sets a status parameter, prop. So if the status is pending, I want to apply this class. Otherwise, if the status is equal to pay, then I want to use this class. Now here you can put any condition that evaluates to Boolean, to a true or false. So if it sees it's true, then it will apply this class. At any time, no matter how many items you put in this object, it will only execute one, whichever one that evaluates to true. And that's how it works, CLSX. You used to have to do a ternary to determine the value, but this is much cleaner, and you get to do like a set of base classes. This makes your code much cleaner. So I'm a fan of that. Great. So it says you can also use Sass if you want. You can import CSS and Sass files. CSS in JS library, like style components, emotion, they are all supported in NextJS. So that's very cool. Now let's go to chapter 3. So we're gonna try to optimize fonts and images. So fonts are very important because sometimes when you need to load an external font, the font takes a second to come in from the external website and to apply to your page. So in the meantime, we usually do backup fonts, so fonts that pretty close to the font we want. But as soon as the new fonts come in, it will replace the old font, and that might cause pages to jump around. You probably have seen those when you visit websites on the internet. So what NextJS does is it loads the fonts correctly, and it does all of that for you to make sure that there's no cumulative layout shift appear on your app. So let's see. So what is it doing? It's telling you to go to app UI folder, create a new file called fonts.ts. All right, app UI, create a new folder, create a new file called fonts. layout.ts, and then we're going to use this module. So NextJS, you know, a lot of people say NextJS has a lot of magic, and this is one of those magic. You want to import the fonts from Google, and I actually like this because importing fonts from Google can be a pain in the butts, but this makes it a lot easier. I just want to enter fonts, all right, from the Google website, Google Fonts website, and then we're gonna export a Latin variation of it called enter. Now this font has an enter font. So if we go to app layout.tsx, now we can import this font. And then how do we apply it to our sites? Well, you just do this, right? This will apply this enter fonts to everything inside of the body tag. So now all your application will get this, and then you get we add in an anti-alias font class. This will, you know, smooth out the font. It's pre-made. So if you do this, you know, it should look a bit better than before. Let me see what the before looks like. All right, this is a font before, and now if I do the enter fonts, you know, it looks a bit better, a bit more professional. Practice placing the second font. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. So let's do images. We want to optimize our images. So we have some images in a public folder, I think. Well, you got hero desktop, so you can look like, all right, we got some images there. So what do we want to do? Let's see. So Next.js, inside the folder, we got hero desktop and hero mobile, right? Hero desktop, hero mobile. These are the two files we're looking for. And then we, you know, if you want to do regular HTML, you can certainly do this, right? So inside app pages, that folder, if you want to add some logo in there, you can certainly do that. So add hero, okay, add hero image here. So we want to add some image. So this will display an image. Do we get the image correctly? Hero.jpg. Oh, I guess. All right. So they actually, this tutorial is a bit out of date. This should be hero desktop. That should make the image appear. So there's that image. So this is how we do it, right? If you write regular HTML, that's how you do it. Get a source tag and an alt to describe the image. But there's a lot of problems. If you're an experienced web developer, you know that you always have to optimize your image. And Next.js explains it really well here. It says that ensure your image is responsive on different screen sizes. You must specify the image size for different devices because we have so many different devices around. You got to prevent layout shift as the image load. If you ever seen, sometimes there's no image, and then all of a sudden when the image loads, your page get pushed down. And then we want to lazy load the image outside the user's viewport for optimization. So you usually don't want to load the image unless the user has scrolled into the view. So all of these are very standard things that you must do as a dev. But Next.js, again, with magic, they will do all of that for us via the next image components. So let's try it. The image component is an extension of the standard HTML tag, but it does all of this optimization for you. Prevents layout shift, right? Resizing the image to avoid, you know, too big. It will only serve the right image size. Lazy loading image by default. It counts with it. And then it serves the image in modern format like WebP. These are much smaller image sizes, but has much better compression. So let's do that. Let's bring in the image tag from Next.js, the image components. And then all we have to do is replace the standard image tag with the next image component. Now notice this is capital I, meaning this is a React component. And then what are we doing? We're specifying the hero desktop, and then we want to specify the width, the height, the class name, and then the alt. So if we press save, we should see the image. You see that it lazy loaded, right? It was empty and then it lazy loaded. And then if you inspect this thing here, you will see that the image is actually very, very small. And it's adding a bit of Next.js WQ quality 75. So it's kind of like Cloudinary if you ever use it. It's like transforming the image on the fly. And then if you look at the tag, it actually has like all the different source sets for you. If you don't know about source sets, feel free to read up on it. But this basically lets you apply the right image based on the right screen size that it's viewing it from. And then it automatically does the lazy loading via the loading equals lazy tag. And it specifies the width and height. Very, very cool. And this automatically optimizes the image for you, so you don't have to do all that work. Great. Get the image and font in. And that's it for this chapter. That is it for this tutorial. Stay tuned, subscribe. I will do the next set of tutorials in the next few videos. Bye-bye.